Hello, we are live on Friday, March 27th, 2026, and this is episode number 167. I'm kind of tired of the whole 6-7 thing, but I guess maybe some people would say it's episode 167 if you're a kid. There's the link to the episode page up on the screen there, augforums.com/episode 167. And we got Nicole Ronchetti with us today. Nicole, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate the time.
You know what's funny too is I just remembered that the last time that I came on, it was episode 100.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Like,
I forgot about that.
Interesting that it was like 100 and now 167. I don't know. It's
Both
weird.
significant, yeah, the significant numbers kind
They're
of.
all either 100 or 67. No.
Well, we'll have to do episode 200 then.
Yeah.
The way things are going with AI, I want to do more and more stuff on AI because I personally am just trying to catch up to where I feel like a lot of other people are at. Although at the same time, I don't think anyone's really catching up. So it's just kind of a fun wave, right?
Yeah, I think everyone is kind of learning different things all at the like everyone's learning, right? Like I think AI is teaching all of us stuff, you know.
I think you're
and
right.
I think that's kind of, and you know, you said in one of your other episodes or in one of our conversations or something, I can't remember, right? Because I feel like we've been talking about AI so much, like, and just like in it. And I know you also are like, we're watching the same videos online and seeing the same stuff and like absorbing
Nate B. Jones, right? Nate B.
Yeah.
Jones.
I mean, and it's funny because I'm on TikTok a lot and I get a lot of my AI content off of TikTok too, but it's all the same people.
Interesting.
Just smaller clips. I think it's probably better for my ADHD brain or whatever. I just need like the 5 or 10 seconds of like, oh, like go do this or whatever. And then I'm like, oh, and sometimes especially if it's something that I feel like warrants, oh, I really need to watch this guy's 1 hour thing, right? Like then I'll put it on the TV and sit there with my computer and like watch a whole YouTube or something. But a lot of times I get a lot of the stuff that I'm watching off of TikTok for sure.
Who are some of the other? So Nate B. Jones, I mentioned before. That's really all I've had time for. What else? What other ones do you recommend?
Like he's the only one that I would say like there's another guy too, Brown. His last name's Brown, Daniel Brown. Is that his name? I can't. I'll have to pull it up. Corbin Brown. Corbin
Brown. Let's see.
I think.
Okay. Keep going. I'll look it up while you tell me about him. Purposely AI. Purposely.ai.
Yeah. Like some of these different, and I feel like a lot of them too are like, well, except for that one guy I feel like the guy that we mentioned before, he's like around our age, but also just watching some of like the younger programmers who are just doing all these like weird and crazy different things too, you know, like getting Steam Decks and like configuring AI to connect to a Steam Deck device to like, you know, punch a button and have an AI go do something, you know, like just like all these different kinds of interesting hobby projects that are going on. I feel like TikTok too is also an interesting place of like, I've seen a lot of videos of people just being like, so I couldn't put Claude down today, or like just like talking about their journeys with learning too, you know? So there hasn't been like a ton of people that like stand out as individuals in my mind other than you know, the couple of ones, but like just seeing all the content and like just the different, you know, I saw somebody the other day made a Jarvis interface.
Oh, blank. My video blank thing is back again. Say that again. You saw someone the other day, something Jarvis?
Yeah, Jarvis from Marvel, you know, the AI computer that Tony Stark would talk to in you know,
no idea. Is this a movie reference? What is this?
Yeah, from Iron Man. So, you know,
okay, I don't even know. Okay.
Had his like butler computer thing that, you know, Iron Man's this rich techie guy and he created Jarvis, which is like his AI. And someone made like a Jarvis a Claude interface that you just like talk to it and it talks just like Jarvis, but it does all the things that AI does, you know? So it's just like
Interesting.
seeing those different like fun things that people do, right? Which may not necessarily even be a practical thing. Even it gets your brain thinking about the practical stuff, you know? So it's been like really fun to just like go head first into learning everything that there is to learn with AI, you know?
And that stuff's important, right? Because if you're too focused on the practical, you miss like some obvious things if you had more of a creative focus. But then if you're only doing the creative stuff, then it's like, well, what good does this do at work? Do you feel like you need both sides of it?
Yeah, 100%, right? Because AI could also just be like making funny cat pictures and stuff, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, like, I mean, there's so many amazingly fun things that we can do with AI, and those things are great. And it's great, you know, like, but I feel like especially, you know, when I start talking to different people, it's like, "Oh yeah, I use AI to transcribe my meeting and do a summary for me." Like, well, yeah, don't we all nowadays? You know what I mean? Like that's pretty like, yeah, that's a great practical use. But I do think some of the practical use cases have been a lot harder for people to find sometimes because a lot of times you're just staring at a blank screen.
Oh,
You
I'm
know?
totally with you on that. Yeah, I have that blinking cursor
Yeah.
is scary. Yeah, and
Mhm.
actually I haven't done anything with it yet, but I just saw the AI stuff dropped in 2026 R1, and it's the same problem though. You've got the fields now, but it's like, what do you put in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and, like, I like in as much well, let me back up a little bit too, right? I'll talk a little bit about how I got here and what my journey
Yeah,
my
let's
AI
make sure we cover what is Nicole up to nowadays. Yeah. Maybe
oh,
give us what you were doing and what you're doing now. Can you give us a little history? Catch us up.
yeah, and so, you know, I was working at Nuvei up until, the end of September, and when I left Nuvei, I definitely was in this mode of, like, I was low key a bit obsessed just with AI. I was like, this is the future. I want to learn everything that there is to learn about AI. And I want to like fill in so many different gaps in my brain of things that I kind of pushed aside because I didn't have time to learn it or I didn't need to learn it or that was someone else's job wherever I worked to learn that part or whatever. Right. So, like when I was leaving Nuvei, I was like, you know, I working there and working for an ISV, especially one that had worked across multiple channels, had a payments portal, right? There was a lot of like tech that I got to see a different kind of understanding of, you know, understanding how payment portals work and things like that. And I just was like, oh, I want to like do all of these things, but do it all with AI, you know, and you hear about all these people vibe coding and all this stuff and, you know, it either sounds cool or it sounds corny depending on whether you wanna think it's you know, you wanna be skeptical or what have you, right? But I was just kinda all in with it. I think especially I've always had kind of like a product management sort of focused brain where it's like I understand some of the tech, but I'm not like I've never been a super great programmer like how some there are really amazing programmers out there, you know, like but I'm pretty technical, you know, you know, so it's like but some of those things like understanding GitHub, like I don't know if I just like had an aversion to it in the past or whatever, you know, but like just being like, okay, I want to understand what CI/CD pipelines are and how to do automated testing when I push a branch to GitHub. You know, like I went full in on like all the things that ever heard programmers talking about that I didn't like audit log, like stupid stuff, you know? And so my first kind of project that I was working on, I was like, I want to build an app. Like I'm going to build an app, you know? So I spent a bit of time working on building a commission app that connects with the Acumatica.
Okay. When
And
is this, by the way? So where are we? Is this last fall or what?
well, I mean, I made the app in 40 days.
But I mean, like when you decided to be like, all right, I know this is the direction I really want to go in.
Yeah, like
What's that?
October 1st, November
Okay,
1st,
October
around,
1st. All right.
like in October, like right after I left, and
Okay.
started building the app. I mean, I had the app itself built pretty quickly, but then you kind of get like, how far do you take certain areas? Like you're just kind of building something in a vacuum, But then when I decided I was going to go to Acumatica Summit, like January 1st, I was like, let me try. Like, okay, I built this whole application that calculates commissions. Now let me see if I can make it connect to Acumatica. So then I started going through and I was like, if I'm going to go to Acumatica Summit, I might as well see if I can, connect it to Acumatica, pull data in from Acumatica and calculate commissions, So I mean, but like even that at that point probably took like 3 or 4 days before I had a connection working, that was pulling data, So it was like, I mean, just like time to turnaround of like putting those things and like coming up with an outline of like, here's exactly how I want something to work. I just like create a GitHub issue, tell Claude Code, go read this GitHub issue with this spec as to how I want this new feature to work, read the GitHub issue and go build it. So it was just like a lot. It was like nonstop, probably 45 days straight of just like coding by myself. But like,
wait, so before we dive into the commission, I want to dive into the commission app if you don't mind. I know we have in the episode title like about your Claude skills. We're going to talk about that too, but I want to dive into the commission thing. Before we do though, like what was the trigger for you that made you decide, you know what, I need to go all in on this? Like for me, it wasn't, I'm behind you. It wasn't until January, just a couple months ago. And it had everything to do with OpenClaw when I got a message from a friend and what he did in a weekend. That got my attention. What was it like more of a slow buildup for you, or was there one big trigger that happened for you?
I would say, I mean, I'm always pretty like, as soon as there's something new, I want to play around with new things kind of person anyways. And I had primarily been playing around with ChatGPT and just kind of like making little custom GPTs myself just for like helping myself with workflow, but they weren't overly fancy or doing anything amazing. Like, and then it was actually I an old friend of mine who used to be a software consultant and now she works in the mortgage industry and nothing related to like actual consulting, but she does a lot of data and analytics stuff, And she was like explaining to me exactly how she uses Claude Code and like creates these different like JSON tools and like all this different stuff that she does. And I was just like, man, like I was just like, that's crazy, especially like knowing her too and knowing that she wasn't same kind of skill level as me, right? Like maybe more technical than some, but not overly like a programmer or anything. And I kind of was thinking to myself too, like, if that's the kind of thing that people are doing inside of businesses today, right? Like at different companies and seeing like consultants and everything else, like we have to be in front of that because if clients can do those things, and so it was just kind of like, wow, like if there's like individual businesses out there where like that's what their IT teams are capable of doing and troubleshooting from like reporting and analytics or integration standpoints, like why aren't we, and she was the one who was really like, why are you using ChatGPT? Like you can do so much stuff when you put Claude Code in your IDE, and I was just kind of like, yeah, but I'm not really like a heavy Visual Studio user. Like, sure, I've done stuff in the past. I was dev MVP once, like I can dabble, but like, I never just had that like confidence of doing some of that stuff, and she kind of gave me the encouragement. She was like, Claude Code opens up a whole new world for you. She's like, you have to. And I was like, all right. And it was like that weekend, I was like in there all weekend and just like, oh yeah.
So you did have a trigger and it was a friend. It was same for me. It was a friend who was actually doing something in the real world. And so that was like September or so. Okay. Yeah. Now I got you. So you did have a trigger. And all right, so then tell me, do you want to go into then the commissions app, or do you want to go somewhere else?
Sure, yeah, we can
I'd love to
talk
hear
a
more
little
about
bit about that. Can I screen share?
Yeah, if you look on the bottom there, you get it queued up, and then I'll drop it in and out of the stage when we need it. So you don't have to stop sharing. You just leave it up, and I'll take it on and off as needed.
I'll pick window, and then I'm gonna go here. Okay. So I already logged in and stuff, but I think it's like kind of nice to just be able to see like the front end interface a little bit too, just to kind of I took a mentality of, I mean, some of it was I worked at a payments company where, we had portals, and I love the idea of portals too for a lot of different purposes. But, to me, I was like, oh, like, let me try to make a commissions portal where they could calculate the commissions, and then like salespeople could see what they have that's out there, or, the administrators can approve, deny, reject the commissions, that sort of thing. And, but I got really nerdy about some of it, like just different things like, oh, I want to be able to have like light mode and dark mode, So it was like, I went into everything, I went into, different settings and things like that. But I also like created an API for the app in case anybody ever wanted to connect to my app with an API, like,
wow.
I just kind of like got really obsessed
APIs are usually like so downstream of what companies actually add into a software product. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, is it full, like, it's not all of the objects and everything. It was kind of like just some basic stuff of like, okay, like somebody asked the question, so it's sort of just like, let's see the baseline of like what would be involved in that, right? So, but like kind of building all this, like I built it all entirely with Claude, either from a combination of doing it in like Claude Web, coming up with those specs and putting them into GitHub and having GitHub read the specs to do some of the development. But, obviously too, and I think you said this in one of your videos of like giving sometimes smaller, just, like I wouldn't tell it to just do the whole thing. Right. It was very much like breaking it out and like addressing certain areas. It's not, I showed someone, they were like, oh, so if you used AI, then what? You just type something in there and then you had an app in a half an hour. And it's like, no, like there was, like I had to worry about like
it's still a process.
Like figuring out the database connections, like I don't, as much as like sometimes people can knock some of the AI stuff, it's like, okay, but you still have to kind of understand what you're going for and what you're trying to do in order to get it back, you didn't.
So what you're saying is you didn't open up Claude Code and say, build me a commission app, and then presto, you have this, right?
Exactly. Like, and also I don't think like it took a lot of learning, like a lot of thought and learning throughout the process too. And there's still a lot of things, I think, especially from a development perspective, right? Like there's certain aspects of this app that are connected to other different types of services. So it's not necessarily like the AI is just going to handhold your way through the whole thing. A lot of times AI is telling you, you're going to have to do this, and here's the steps you need to take to do it. And you have to follow those steps, like yes, it's getting better with like dispatch and some of the other things that they're coming out with, but a lot of times you still have to physically go out and, do the work or run the commands or whatever,
Does it seem to you, and I don't know if anyone else made this analogy, probably, but to me, the analogy I've been thinking of is that, to me, it's sort of similar. Like I just remember in my college computer programming class, we talked about machine level language. I'm guessing here. Then assembly level, I think, was above that. And nowadays, like languages like Python, C#, things like that are above that. And it almost seems like now AI prompting is just another abstraction layer over the whole tech stack, where you're not writing code anymore, but you're now writing to AI and it's building the code. To me, though, it's the same sort of progression as computers have written. Like none of us type zeros and ones anymore, like punch cards in the old days where you're actually giving the zeros and ones, but it's just another layer up. Did it feel like that to you when you're building this app?
Yeah, very well. And I kind of felt like it was my friend. Like, because I feel like the best use that you get out of the AI too is like challenging it and being like, no, hold on. Like, I get that, especially, when it comes to Acumatica type things or things that might be specific to another type of system, right? Like
things it doesn't know well.
things,
Like
and
niche
could be a lot of
yeah.
different types of things, right? Like, it suggested that I use this service or program called Clerk for my authentication stuff. And, but like it might not be up to date with like the most current release of Clerk. So it might tell me to do something and say, this is how you configure it in Clerk. And I'll go, I don't know what you're talking, like, so there has to be that back and forth, and like that has been interesting. But I thought it was funny too, because in the other day you were saying about there was something about like talking to Chat GPT and then talking to Claude, and how sometimes the AI will be like, well, let me tell you how a simple bot needs to understand it. And I thought I was laughing so hard when that happened too, because the other thing that I found was interesting is like, I feel like mine also does that, but mine's way ruder than yours is. And I think it's because it picks up because you were laughing. So you were like, oh, that's so funny. And I was like, it's so nice because it's as nice as Tim. And like mine's like rude. Mine was like the other day, it said something like, the typos in Acumatica's programming are no joke. And I was like, wow, that's a little harsh to say. I'm like, it's definitely picking that up from Nicole's personality.
That is so interesting. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, mine's a little, yeah.
Well, I hadn't, because it's only 2 months for me. I hadn't heard from anyone that it actually picks up your interactions in new sessions, because yeah, I haven't. What do you think is giving that carrier? So you're probably doing something that's giving it the ability to carry across, or does it do that naturally every new chat? Like,
so here's a couple of things about that I find really fascinating and sometimes a little bit freaky too, because because I pay for Pro for both ChatGPT and Claude and probably a couple others. Like it's becoming a subscription problem, like television services or something, right?
is this the $20 a month about for each one of them?
Yeah, pretty much.
Same one for me. Yeah.
Okay. And then some other ones, like I see other different things and I'll be like, oh, I'll try that for a month. And then if I find I'm not using it, but I always stick with just like Claude and ChatGPT. But what were we talking about?
So the ability for it to pick up your personality, like how is it doing that?
With Pro on both, like you do have configurable memory settings that you can tell it to remember certain specific things and how much you want it to store. And there are certain things that I go in and I tell it, please remember this, or in conversation,
Okay.
Yes, I will say like, can you remember this for next time? Or I'll be like, don't make me tell you again. Like, like the other day, and this is why it acts the way it does, I think, because the other day I was trying to troubleshoot something with a generic inquiry, and it did tell me something that I knew was wrong. And I was like, we went through this the other day. Why are you telling me that last cost is in that table? Because last cost is not in that table. And it came back and it was like, you're right. I'm sorry. I did have it in my memory that last cost isn't there, but I'll make it bigger for myself. So
I'll make it bigger. Was that really the phrase?
Said, I'll make it more prominent in the notes.
So do you, all right, so this is something I haven't done, and intentionally on my part. Like, I don't, the reason why I haven't tried to get it to remember stuff, I'm not even using skills or anything yet. I'm way behind you. But the reason is, like, I don't want to eat into my tokens every session. And I think when you tell it to remember, it does. Do you know? Do you have any insight on that?
You know, what's funny is I was thinking about this a lot this morning because the token thing is really starting to get in my head, because I'm like, it's so unauditable to like when you ask it something and then it just tells you this is how many tokens that I'm like, I don't know if I'm using too many tokens in certain times or not,
No, interesting.
I do know, I mean, it's probably, it's several times a week that Claude is usually telling me, like, oh, you need to wait until 6 PM before.
Oh, you are
Like,
running into that. Okay.
yeah. And then I'll just be like, okay, it's time to take a break for an hour. I'll use ChatGPT and then I'll go back to Claude.
Interesting. Yeah. So I was listening to a podcast episode today, and like the person was like, yeah, I'm on the $100 a month plan. And they're like, and when I need the $200 a month plan, I'm paying it no matter, no problem. But so it's definitely, I think it's definitely worth it. But I am always a curmudgeon. So I'm the opposite on new tech. I'm always just like, why should I care? I don't care that you're the new shiny thing. I'm totally curmudgeon about it. And I'm totally thinking that the drug dealer analogy works here, where I think the Anthropic and OpenAI are paying more for us to use it than we're paying them. I think their cost, that's my theory, is higher than our actual usage, just the pure electricity cost of it. And so I think they're just paying for us to get hooked on it. And at some point we're going to find out what the true price is. That's my curmudgeon theory. I don't know.
I think it just bothers me. Like, it's just like, it's also trying to understand Avatax API calls or some, it's like when you look at that like usage amount, you're like, I don't. And I was just looking like yesterday, because in Claude they have where you can say, yes, go over, but then like you just get billed like per transaction, like just overages.
Oh,
if you turn
interesting.
it on. And I was really tempted yesterday when I like Claude said you can't work for an hour. I was like, should I just turn it on to see, like, because I have no idea
Yeah.
what that bill could look like. But I also feel like I need governance. Like, I don't want it to just be able to just be charged however much, for whatever it thinks without stopping it, like I like that it cuts off.
So I actually haven't run it. I haven't been using it enough to run into the cutoff limits. I'm curious, is your understanding that so a token, my understanding, one token is about 75% of a word. Not exactly, but about. So if you take all of that you're feeding into it, like if you want it to know, go look this up, learn all this stuff, you would take your word count and back into, like, you divide by 3 and multiply by 4.
You asked it?
What's that?
Of what you asked it?
My understanding is the context that you feed it would include your MD files and all that. And it'd be interesting to audit that and see if I take my word count, divide by 4, multiply by 3, is that the input tokens, or roughly the input tokens it's saying? But then what I don't know is how you control the output tokens.
Yeah.
Because that's what it comes back with. I don't know which one's more expensive, the input or the output side. Have you picked up any of that?
No. And I've been looking at that more and more, especially because it's been in the like popping up on my computer, because I think Claude has been making adjustments too. Like, I think they're trying to change how they do some of those like cutoffs, because I think they said they're supposed to be giving us more. And I think it also just has something to do with like capacity and demand too.
Yeah.
Like
Now
so
they've
many
got
people.
really popular. It's just the system can't handle it as much. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But a token is still a token. So my understanding, if they're giving us more, they're just giving us more tokens, right? A token is still a token as a token, as far as I understand it.
I think so, but it's
Yeah.
still just like this figurative fairy thing in my brain as to what really that even is.
Oh, so maybe I have a too confident of an understanding of it. My understanding is that it's about 75% of a word.
Yeah, but it's like, I guess my brain can't figure out like when I'm going to ask it something, like what that would compute to. You know, like if I said, hey, go remove a page on my website, I don't, like, I don't know if that's
Yeah.
5,000.
Okay. No, I'm gonna have to pay more attention to that too. That makes sense. Yeah.
I know it like comes up in the IDE, it'll show the like token thing and it'll be like the token numbers just like going up and up and up. And I'm like,
I haven't even
stop.
looked for it. Yeah. Do you mean in the Claude code application itself for Windows?
Yeah, well, in
Okay.
Visual Studio.
Oh, you got VS Code or the real Visual Studio?
I have VS Code.
Okay, all right. That I finally got into that Visual Studio. I could never get into. It was always too scary to me. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. I'll have to pay attention to that too.
Like, go here.
So, can I ask you then back on this app that you got?
Yeah.
Did you write any code? Did you even review any code, or did you just keep
yeah,
going back
for
and
sure.
forth?
I
You
mean,
did. Okay.
and here's the thing, that this is actually like the GitHub project. This is my project for that app. Oh, you can't see it. I changed screens.
Yeah, you might want to do your whole desktop or screen or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I did, but here, let's do present, share screen, window, this one. There. I think I put it up there now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so this is my Visual Studio project here for this app. And this is all written in TypeScript language too, like the actual app, which is what Acumatica's modern UI is, TypeScript.
Oh, interesting.
Now it's totally different. I mean, yes, it's the same language, but Acumatica is using TypeScript for the UI, whereas like these pages are all the code and the page is in that file. And
I
TypeScript
didn't realize people were using TypeScript as a like back end
very
language as
much
well.
so.
I thought it was only a front end
Very
language.
Nope.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So, and I have like, here's my Claude code here, so like if I asked it to change something like, remove link, remove link on login screen for demo, we will add this back later. Let's see if sometimes it's not like logged in, but usually right here in the IDE, and it'll ask me like, do you want to edit this page? So like sometimes like for small edits, I'll usually just like tell it to do it, but then sometimes too, it just like didn't understand what it wanted to have happen. But it goes through and usually it does show me, maybe just for bigger things, it'll tell me like the token amounts, because usually it shows up down here, but maybe that's when it only goes into like plan mode and it's running multiple agents or whatever. But the cool thing about this too, and I mean, I learned how to set up these sites and everything from AI, right?
Yep, so did I. Yep.
Like I'm just gonna push my changes to GitHub. I sync the changes, and then I don't know if it'll. Oh yeah, it will. If I go over here, so all of my projects that I have are pushed over to a platform called Versal. So what Versal actually does, and I guess I don't have the page open with the main. So Versal like reads my GitHub projects and then just like publishes it as a serverless website. And they provide services for like those backend, like for backend databases too. So this is how all of my sites and different apps that I've built are like housed in here. And if I go to my commission flow and I go to like deployments, because this is kind of interesting, you can see here where it says building, because I just pushed that to GitHub and it's connected to my GitHub. So it knows I pushed code changes and it rebuilds the website and recompiles it and makes it live. And the cool thing is like, if there wasn't something that I liked in that code or whatever, I could just like roll back the Versal deployment too, to just say like, no, make that one go live, you know?
So,
So
cool. So you could pick the version of code that you want deployed. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I was doing
Is
some
it
things
similar then? So I remember, I can't remember the name of it, but Nate has talked about Cloudflare or something like this. Is that similar, but it's not actually using your machine to host it? It's actually hosting it in the cloud?
This is all not on my machine.
I
All
like
in the
that.
cloud. Yeah. And it's really cool too, like the logging that's in here. Like if I publish something and the website doesn't load, I go out here, I can look at the logs, pull the error message, you know, and like if I pull the error message, I just take the error message, copy and paste the error message, go back over to Claude and be like, what happened here? Or what I even this morning, because I was trying to go into one of my apps and it wasn't working. And I was like, why is this not working? And I'm like, I think it's just the service that hosts the database was down. But I wasn't sure. So I went into the Versal logs, took the error message, and I went over to Claude and I was like, I'm pretty sure Prisma's just having issues right now. I'm like, can you just double check my GitHub project and database configuration to make sure my schema didn't get hosed? And it like went back through, checked everything. I was like, no, it's just them. I was like, okay, cool. So it's like super.
What are you paying for your whatever you're doing with it? What are you paying for Versal right now?
Nothing.
Nothing. It's a free version. Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. There is a fair amount that you can do completely free. The things that you don't really get with free, I mean, I would have to be doing a lot more transactions, posting, activity. Also like backups and stuff. Like I don't have like crazy backups running on this. Like, why would I care? You know,
your source code is versioned. Yeah. So why do you need backups?
Yeah.
With
And
this? Yeah.
all of my source code is all on GitHub and local. This is just the hosting. Like I don't need backups for the hosting unless it was like client data that I needed to back up. Like one,
right. If you had a true running app with data that you were serving. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I would care about some of that extra like security stuff and backups and all that. But yeah. So I just kind of like went knee deep into learning all this types of stuff and like the logging and, all the real non-nerdy things to like visually see, but like the back end stuff, those different types of Postgres databases and all the.
Is that what you're mainly running? A Postgres database in the back end? Okay.
Yeah. This one is I've been using Prisma for my Postgres hosting. This too is also just like the free versions. And this kind of is connected directly to Versal. So it's like easy to like go in and say like, yeah, I want this database host or that database host, but still like all free plan stuff. But this is like how you browse like the different tables and, just the UI of it. But I don't really need to actually like look at the database ever. I just was logged in there this morning just to make sure it was actually there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like after I started doing that with and the commissions program, like I said, this is pretty cool because like just getting like this is my little Acumatica integration that I built. And it shows like, when it syncs. I have sync logs here. I also made it so that like if you pulled in invoices from Acumatica, but like you didn't mean to, you could just undo it, you know. I like built all the logging and everything, but I have this just reading through the default endpoint, and the way it's working right now is just that it can look for any published like generic inquiries or something and pull those to like pull invoice level information from GIs or something like that. You know, it's pretty basic, and it's slow to run the sync, but it's also like, well, I'm connecting to like a local host Acumatica too. That's pretty slow, you know, so I'm not really
slow?
sure.
Like, are you talking minutes or hours or what?
I mean, no. I mean, if I click on, let me click on sync now here, it'll probably just take like 2 minutes or something to like read the DI and bring the things in. But it's just like, you know, testing speed of syncing is like so difficult to understand, you know, like especially when you're dealing with local hosts. But
so
yeah.
This is pretty substantial. Is your idea that you take this commission app and bring it to market, or was it more just a use case for you to learn AI with?
A little bit of both, right? I mean, I think that it definitely, I think it has potential to go to market, and could with more. Yeah, it's not going to bring anything in if just finished. It's pretty fast, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
It didn't bring anything in because there's no new invoices, right? So it skipped them all. But I mean, I do think that there's potential, but I also think that like people who it would need a lot more work of some things like goals, and you know, I got into a lot. It allowed me to have a lot of different conversations with people around what different needs are with commissions. And I think it has potential, like with the right clients, and it could also just very well be easily tailored, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's not like it's that hard for me to change anything. So yeah, I mean, I think that there's still potential to like bring it to market. Is it quite ready for market currently with features? It could be, you know, depending. It's just commissions run the gamut, you know what I mean, of like what different types of people are looking for. I think in your typical like mid-market distributor type, you know, where they have salespeople who are just like selling different products, and these are the different kinds of commissions. It could still be complicated, right? But it opened up a lot of conversations around commissions in the SaaS world of how VARs have to deal with commissions and usage and things like that. And that's where commissions gets really complicated. And
Because
then
of the ongoing nature of it.
yeah, you
Yeah,
know, like when
yeah.
people are, you know,
And you
just,
get 1% in year one, but then they throttle it down in year two
yeah,
and
just
three.
some
Yeah,
of
yeah,
those different types of things that go on with
yeah.
VARs and ISVs, and how you manage some of that stuff is a lot more difficult than, you know, like a auto parts manufacturer who's selling widgets or whatever,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Like SaaS usage and stuff opens up a whole other conversation that once I started getting deeper into that, I'm like, do I really want to be the all answer to all commissions when you start talking about some of that SaaS usage stuff and those things? We'll see, you know, like, and there's also, I had done so much that I didn't want to keep doing more in a vacuum,
Mm-hmm. Right,
you
right.
know,
It was
like,
primarily, and going into it, it was primarily a learning exercise for you.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
That's
yeah.
that's really cool. What I wonder, and this is a perfect example of it, but I've wondered if you've kind of had these two extremes, right? You have
Hmm.
this, hey, one company takes on the entire load of an application that they develop and use on their own. Then you have the other extreme of total SaaS company, and they could have however many customers they want, right? And that's where
Right.
venture capital money gets thrown into it to scale the thing, et cetera. But I wonder if we sort of, and then you also have the open source world, which is like just total hippie, like we just do this for fun kind of thing. But I wonder if AI is sort of creating a new space where instead of just having to be the company that's going it on your own, since these things are so easy to spin up, if it sort of becomes more like a co-op model where you're like, hey, we're going to take on this for our super small niche of certain types of distributors, who do this very specific stuff, rather than build it ourselves. What if we have some type of, and I don't know how you structure it business wise, maybe a co-op kind of a model works where you're like, hey, we're going to build this and we're going to know we control who the customers are. Like it's sort of a consortium. And then you're like, all right, we know only these 20 companies are going to use the thing. We all control it. But that way we're not having to build it all on our own. What do you think of that kind of a model, if I described it well enough?
No, 100%. And it made me think of something I saw the other day too, because I read Reddit threads for fun about ERP stuff, right? And somebody posted on Reddit the other day about like they were a school, and I guess like education or school angled accounting systems aren't great. And this person posted oh, we're so tired, here's our they're like, we made our own ERP.
Yeah.
And they posted it on, and if you look here too, it's a Versal app, right? So chances are it's probably also like TypeScript, everything else. A lot of the UI isn't oddly different than some of the things that I've built, right? But
interesting.
I mean, you log into this. I mean, and this is like, they just decided to build this on their own.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've been wondering the same thing. It's like ERP used to be just too expensive to spin up on your own. And now maybe that's not the case. Or maybe you go to that more consortium kind of a model where you share the cost with a few other
not
companies.
only that, though, I mean, not to be all mushy about it, but like these people built this and then they were brave enough to like post it on Reddit and be like, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Right? Like for people to just like bang away at, tear apart, say it sucks or whatever else, right? But they put it out there and they said, here's the GitHub. you know?
Which is the open source approach to it. That's like just put it out in the world and people just contribute for free. It's that approach.
It is open source, but it is kind of like initiating that collaboration of like, it's not just like you're using open source stuff, but the collaboration's really happening there with AI where people are like, hey, I don't know this either. Is this right? Like, and so I think that's the thing that's kind of cool about it, that I don't know that there was even back, because I feel like the thought of open source has kind of gone away, or like it gets pushed aside because no one wants to acknowledge that open source stuff is there a lot of times because it doesn't make money or whatever, but like open source also isn't like very like super collaborative. I don't feel like I feel like AI is making it a much more collaborative community because people have this humility of like, hey, we're all in this, so if none of us really understand how any of it's working.
Really? See, I thought it was the opposite. Like, I think in our world dealing with ERPs, we're not as used to open source, but I thought like for the projects that are open source, I thought they were highly collaborative. But
really?
And I've often wondered, and I could be wrong, right? But like, at like a database level, like Postgres is an example of one. Like for some of these things where my assumption, I could be wrong on this. My assumption is that you've got a few big companies that are really funding the thing. And then everyone else just kind of benefits from it. But I think it has to be collaborative, doesn't it?
I think maybe I worded it wrong, though. I think like AI is giving it a lot more attention than some of that open source stuff used to. You know what I mean? Because
especially in the enterprise, you think?
I think so. And I think more so.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But I think it's more so with younger people.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm with you there. Did you hear so Nate, I'm just getting my AI news from Nate, but he told the story of, I can't remember what it was, but it was an open source project, and the guy who runs it, it's mainly one person who runs it, and in their like instructions or whatever their policy is, they don't accept pull requests, I think is the technical term. Like people who are contributing to the open source project, they don't accept requests from bots or from AI stuff, right? And so I don't know what AI it was, but it's trying to make a pull request for a change that it wants. And because it shut him down, it then did a whole, in order to achieve its objective, it then did a whole personal smear campaign against the owner of that GitHub. Did you hear that part? Nate was talking about this.
No.
I think it's fascinating. So there's funny. Like, I guess AI not being collaborative, right? It's but it's really, it's just fascinating.
It's really, the other thing that I saw recently too that I thought was really interesting was in the news about AI was Grammarly. Did you see that about what happened? No. So Grammarly apparently started saying that like they rolled out a feature where you could adjust your writing style to be like in the style of a particular author or person or celebrity or whatever, but then they didn't even ask any of those authors.
Yeah, I smell a lawsuit coming.
Yeah, so they ended up, there was a lawsuit sort of thing, but I just saw too that the one of the guys who found out that this was going on because he was a journalist and he got really mad about it, like, and especially to do it with a journalist, right? Like the wrong person to like use, you know. So the guy, he's having him on the show or something, and I'm like, I gotta go find that interview where he like sits down with the CEO where he's like, what made you think you could just like use my name?
Yeah, interesting. Well, I would assume because it's a tech person thinking tech thoughts and not thinking about the business side of it, right?
It's just a prompt that we are telling it like, hey, go sound like this person. What's your problem with that?
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, the whole world right now does feel very similar to me to late 90s, early 2000s with the whole .com thing, and that it's just the tech's just racing ahead and the legal side's not even close to catching up, but it will eventually. And so there's this period of time where you just kind of get to do fun stuff without any consequences or without much of a consequence. And it's very interesting.
For sure. But yeah, so I thought that was cool too, just like seeing some of these different, like, that people are out there just like building full-on ERP systems and
school everything. New 3.vers. Okay, let me jot that down real quick before you take it off the screen.
Yeah, and when you go to the like the first login screen that comes up, there's just a button that says like try demo at the bottom to like pass the thing. But it's just pretty cool, you know, like that, you know, people are just out there for all the times that we always complain and say like software is never going to be perfect. It's never going to do everything that you want it to do. Well, you can kind of make it do whatever you want it to do.
At least a lot more so than you used to be able to, right? At a reasonable cost, right? Yeah, like I always feel like when you go in and you demo Acumatica to a company, like I feel like what they really wanted is they wanted to be able to walk into a store and buy off the shelf a piece of software that's designed for their exact business, which just is not the case. But does this make the micro vertical space just a lot more populated with stuff? I don't know, right? Or another thing I've wondered, I've been real interested in Odoo. I don't know if you've looked at Odoo at all, but do you, instead of coding from scratch, do you then like work with a platform like Odoo more frequently as kind of the base layer, and then there's more micro verticals on top of that? I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see how it evolves.
I've been playing, because when we were at when I was at Nuvei had a payment plugin for Odoo. Because Odoo, and especially too, I mean, Odoo has so many different types of plugins. I think they're based in India, and a lot of the programming.
But a lot of programming is India, but based in Belgium.
Yeah. But I also read recently too that Zoho, which like Zoho has a whole bunch of, they have a lot of different projects. They have a they have a full, because they've only ever had like Zoho Books or like Zoho Invoicing, things like that are just, little small apps for accounting. They have a full ERP that's only available in India currently, and they're supposed to be releasing a new Zoho ERP in North America later this year, apparently.
Interesting.
And there's been a lot of like kind of I've seen little things that like NetSuite, others are kind of concerned about what this could hold to the SMB market. I mean, people are definitely wanting things that can spin up faster, that can implement fast, that they can just click button. Everybody just wants to like click buttons and things to just work, and some of those systems are really great for getting off the ground quickly, right? And but then sometimes maybe full feature sets or things like that, I've played around with Odoo quite a bit, and I think it's a really cool product. For somebody who's like really strong into distribution and manufacturing, is it like the best fit with the I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I haven't like dove that deep, but it doesn't appear like it has like quite as many features and stuff as like say an Acumatica does, where you have construction edition, manufacturing, like it does not seem that feature rich to me. But
I've been hearing the same thing. Very wide, not very deep in those areas.
Yeah. But like a lot of other things, depending on what your needs are and what kind of stuff you're looking for, like I think setting up stuff like SMS notifications or email integrations is a little bit easier in things like Odoo or Zoho or Dynamics, so like there's definitely certain things that it's like, whatever your concerns might be, you're going to have pros and cons to any of them, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I don't think it's like one clear winner. And I also don't think it's totally new territory. Like this is kind of the same options you've always had to consider. And then, yeah, if you're going to go, like you've got this little school ERP, you spun it up, but now the cost of owning it, upgrading it, security holes, there's a lot of true organizational infrastructure stuff, like throat to choke. If it goes down, who's responsible for it? Like,
Right.
yeah, they're real things,
Compliance, SOC 2, like different thing, like there's all different kinds of things that can, especially depending on what kind of industry you're in, right? You might have a whole other or region too, like reporting requirements, right? So it's just kind of like, what can of worms do you want to open? But I mean, if there's, to me, it's like, for how many businesses that are out there that are like penny wise and pound foolish, or still doing things in spreadsheets and paper and everything else, it's like, wow, this AI really does kind of open up a lot of other cost-effective possibilities, especially when it's like, a lot of times people are like, oh, this is a need for us for the next year or two, but the way business in the world works nowadays, no one ever knows how long that product line will last or whatever. Like, people are less and less thinking about like 5-year plans for stuff because no one knows what's going to happen in 5 years. Like it's so, so I don't know. I definitely think that like AI opens up a whole other world of integrations and or things like portals or websites. And I mean, there's plenty of Acumatica customers that I have that are still running homegrown websites with custom integrations and everything else, right? Like, it's really easy to spin up a quick website in Claude and come up with really nice looking, interfaces. I mean, my website, I did all my website in Claude and everything too, like anytime.
So here's your website, Genova.
Yeah. So
Genova? Like, tell me the story on this. What's the name and etc.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I left, I was really kind of planning on, independent services, not even necessarily focusing on one particular product line, just because I came from the Sage world. initially then was spent most of my time, I think, in Acumatica, but then also had worked with Dynamics and NetSuite and other products too. So it's like, I'm not necessarily someone who wanted to be a VAR. Don't want to really worry about software sales myself or anything. I just like building stuff. And, so took the mentality of I'm going to, offer independent services, whether it be reporting or integrations, and do that on my own. However, I will say,
I love your taglines there. We don't sell software, we build freedom. Senior product and ops minds plus an AI co-pilot working only for you, not the publishers. That's really good. I love that.
I know, but now I'm going to go back on everything I said.
All right. I just wanted to lean into it. Also, independent, uncompromised, unowned. All right. Now tell us what's really happening.
Now I'll tell you how I've been bought. No, I'm just kidding. No, because it's not really, it sounds weird. It's not like I'm giving up on my morals or anything. I very recently have decided to start working at Stellar One.
Aha. Okay. Aha.
So I've not joined the team yet. I have accepted, but I will be working over at Stellar One with our good friend Arlene in the coming weeks.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I'm always, I'm definitely going to keep up with my writing and my independent projects. And, maybe there's Acumatica customers that we come across there that might be good fits for some of these other things that I've been working on, but I also just kind of, I need people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm saying that.
I mean,
It's been a good pairing for me. Like we're working with Trail Mondays through Thursdays gives me a nice base, a great team. But then I do like keeping Og Forums as that independent side voice that is not accountable to anything. It's been a good pairing for me. I could see it. You having a similar experience there.
Yeah, and I really kind of felt like, especially with Stellar One being a little bit of a different model and everything else, I didn't feel like I was completely walking away from my personal brand thoughts and things, like they do things in a very different way. And I'm really like super excited to kind of like see what those work on implementations. And it's been a dream for years to be on the same team as Arlene too. So that alone,
Cool. So is this like the first worldwide public announcement that you've made on this new move? Or
yeah, I haven't even updated my LinkedIn yet. Or
wow.
Nobody knows.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, that was Arlene back in episode 161. We talked about her new journey with Stellar One. And I could see how the AI angle would complement their way of thinking really well. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I really kind of like in having conversations with the team there and stuff, I really felt like this makes sense for me because I really feel like I can put a lot of this to like good use with their model and how they do things. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So my personal website will change a little bit and be repurposed a little bit. It's not going to go anywhere because I still am using it to house all of my stuff, But yeah.
What do you mean by your stuff other than like what? Yeah. What?
My articles
running your projects. Oh, your blog and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. And I really want to, like some of the different projects that I've done, like, the commission, I also kind of like took my commission portal. Oh, it's down right now, of course, right? I took my commission portal and copied it and kind of made like a payment portal, connected it to Stripe, So I'm gonna put all of those out on my personal website with like links to some of the GitHub projects and everything too. And just like house all of my fun things that I build and make out there,
Very cool. Wait, I just noticed can you pull back up the homepage again? I just noticed on the
or the commission one?
No, of your website, the Genova.io. So on the very bottom, I just noticed on the very bottom, let me get our pictures out of the way. I just love a little independent ERP plus AI consulting, bullet
Not
point, not a VAR.
None of our.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, I mean, because so much too, like so many people are like, oh, so you're a VAR. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Services only.
God, why is this so hard to understand?
That's cool. That's very cool. Hey, we got a comment. Kaden commented about Odoo. It's highly customizable, open source, which enables it to be highly accommodated to a specific vertical. Yeah, I've wondered the same thing. If it sort of becomes more of a platform of choice when people are kind of going to build their own micro vertical, like the school example, but then you have at least some framework to rely on and blame when things go down, and security and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I do like Odoo a lot. I've been using it for some of my personal accounting.
Oh, you have? Okay, interesting. Yeah.
It's so easy, and it's like, especially if you don't need a lot, and it's like the pricing is, if you're just going to buy like one of the apps, like how they do the pricing is like it's nothing for just a single app, so that's how they get that.
And as we're talking about all these, like, I think the phrase used was opened doors to like a new world. Is that kind of the way we were saying it earlier?
Yeah.
Like what AI has done. So I've been thinking similarly. Like there's all this talk about AI replacing white collar jobs and stuff. I'm not seeing that yet. To me, it's not like AI is coming over the top and being like, all this other stuff is now irrelevant. I feel like it's just muddying the waters. It's just giving us now more options. I'm not so sure that it totally gets rid of a lot of stuff at the moment. It's so chaotic. And I think,
well, I think
what do you say?
But that's why it is taking jobs, right? Because you have people, I'm not going to get too philosophical on this, right? But you have like the people
why not?
at the top who are like, oh, we don't need all these people. We have AI now, and they get rid of all, but like people are still trying to figure out. I think people cut costs if they can cut. I think businesses cut costs and they cut people because they think they can, and they think, oh, we should be able to get so much more out of these people now that there's AI. But like you said, it's muddying the waters, but it's going to take so long for some of these things to really take hold and for people to understand how to utilize the tools in order for AI to make the difference. So like you said, it's just upending everything. And I think people, especially in markets outside of ours, like I live in Connecticut, and like sometimes we'll take the train into New York City, and that's like when I get where I'm not just like a little country bumpkin in the woods and I get exposure to people. But like on the train going down to New York, one time a couple of months ago, I was going down there, and there's like a group of 20 something guys who were in the seats behind me, and I could hear all of them talking, and because they were all programmers, and I was like listening to what they were talking about, and they were like all discussing about like losing their jobs,
I can see that if you're a programmer.
Looking for work. And it really is kind of causing people to figure out how to work differently, and it's almost requiring neurodivergent brains and brains that can be flexible to understand maybe the high level and the tech, but not just the tech, right? Because if all you've ever been is a C# programmer and you're saying, okay, now tell the AI how to do it when you know how to do it, you're like, why would I use this thing?
I do feel like the functional brains are benefiting right now. In that you understand your industry, you understand the real world side of it, and now you have it's less cost for you to then translate it into the digital. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you there.
So it's like, it's definitely upending the job market for sure. I mean, I don't, especially in our SMB space, SMB ERP space, not so much, right? But from on the programmer side and things like that, I think it's definitely just causing so much muddiness. And also, like I said, I think executives making decisions too of just like, oh, we don't need this many people. Let's be cheap and get rid of all of them, you know?
And I guess another angle on it then is, so talking about it muddying the waters, maybe it has more to do with the software options that are out there. So like I've Steve Ratner. I'll read his newsletter that comes out. I'll put a link to it in the notes. Steve Ratner's newsletter. He's been talking a lot about these quote AI native ERPs, and I'm struggling to see it. Like I've been trying to see that, but not seeing it yet. And I just don't know that the structure of an ERP application is going to change just because of AI. What I think might happen is that if you build a new ERP software from scratch and you do it heavily relying on agents, and now you have a way, like you built that, it's sort of like, to me, like a Windows app versus a native web app, like trying to throw the web layer on top of a core Windows app, that didn't work well. But I wonder if it's the same thing happening with ERP. Like maybe you need a new ERP built from scratch with that philosophy. I just don't know that the end product is going to look that different. Like it's not, I don't want the blinking cursor where I talk to my computer about everything. No, I still want like a visual layer. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think about this a lot, primarily because of modern UI. Okay. Right. Because modern UI in Acumatica is like, that's why we're doing modern UI, right? Like, that's why we're going to TypeScript. It's faster. And like, we're getting some of that technology with modern UI because TypeScript's just like a faster, cleaner, simpler programming language that, I mean, my screen, any TypeScript stuff that I use, it runs faster than our traditional ASPX HTML stuff running on II. You know, think about in a Acumatica local host install, right? We're installing SQL Server. You know, you've got your SQL database, you've got IIS, you've got RabbitMQ or whatever. Like you've got all these different components that have to run on a machine in order to make that happen. And then we see the speed, right? But then like TypeScript stuff where you're doing these Postgres databases, TypeScript code throughout, no C#, so much faster. And like the guy who created TypeScript, he's this, I can't remember the man's name. I watched a interview with him. And like TypeScript is just like the next programming evolution from C#. Like the guys who made C# made TypeScript. Like, and
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like Acumatica is kind of doing that thing that you mentioned, though. They're kind of putting the layer on top.
In a bad way.
I mean, to be seen. I'm not trying to say it's
interesting. Well, it has to be that way right now. What we don't know is when they rip out the plumbing of the old stuff. Yeah, is it a true new build? It does sort of feel to me, I've been describing it as it's like Acumatica 2.0. It's really a completely new ERP. But yeah, we haven't seen what it looks like without the rest of the garbage in there, right? Yeah.
Right. But like and to handle it with the UI stuff, the TypeScript, and handle that in the UI stuff, that's one thing. Because that doesn't affect database, IIS, all that stuff's still intact, right? But like with the app that we looked at, like what I did, that school ERP thing, right? Like we don't care about IIS. We don't care about all those Windows components. We can run those serverless, you know, like, so taking out that extra headway though, like that's a task that would be nearly impossible for Acumatica to strip away from, like the SQL
Sure.
and IIS stuff, right? So then that's what becomes of like, yeah. I mean, I wonder, does Acumatica think about, or I'm sure they've thought about it, of like, what does that look like? Could they potentially be building something else right now with all the tools that are out there that's going to take care of that back end stuff? Because it would be, you know, but they are heavily tied to Microsoft components, everything else because of that IIS, the SQL, everything else. But I think from a longevity and tech standpoint, I would have to wonder if I would think that they would want to start moving away from those as well eventually for faster
My
things.
my understanding was that once it's fully modern UI and the classic one's been ripped out, that the thing will be able to run on Apache and you won't need IIS anymore. But I don't know if that's true or not. But are you
Maybe,
seeing?
maybe that'll take care of that stuff, but and
Yeah.
maybe they are going to do that too when they're done
Yeah.
with all of this, right? But to me, it's like I still think that that's a little away at time, but we don't know. I mean, I don't know. Look at I've been doing this stuff for like 3 months or whatever, and now I think I'm an expert.
I've been doing it for 2 and I'm learning as well. Yeah. So what I don't hear though in all of this, and here's where I go back to the AI, the quote AI native ERP idea. We're talking about TypeScript, we're talking about, just the latest tech. AI probably helps build it faster for sure, but I just don't see AI really being a bigger part of it. I don't see it fundamentally changing what an ERP application is, other than go ahead, give me an agent, give me an assistant where I can do some natural language stuff. But it's just going to be a little add-on to what an ERP does. You're still going to have the same modules. Business still runs kind of the same way. Like you're not.
Exactly.
I don't know what an AI native ERP would really be, other than just a new build of an ERP from scratch. I don't. Right?
Yeah, to me, that's what I think it would be.
Yeah, I don't see how the table structure changes dramatically because that's the way a product-based business runs
I
and the
think
kind of stuff
maybe,
they capture.
yeah, I mean, I think more so just in that code structure though. Like I don't feel like they would use C# at all.
Right, but it has nothing to do with AI. It's just the latest
Correct.
code thing, right? Yeah,
Correct.
like you could go back
Correct.
10 years and say, I mean, the move
I still
from
don't think anyone
VB,
really
Visual Basic, to C#, it's sort of the same thing. You're just moving to a new code base, but it's not AI native,
Well, it's not
It's not like
because of
AI
AI,
lives in
like
the
it could have
product.
happened regardless with or without
Right.
AI. Yeah.
That's what I think. So I don't know what AI native ERP really means. I don't think it really means anything. But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, even just I mean, most times AI is just a buzzword that's thrown in. We had machine
Totally.
learning. Machine learning is the same thing. Like it's literally the same.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Like,
I'm with you on that.
I mean, but
So then, what you've been doing with that, I'm still hunting for use cases myself. We've now got AI Studio in 2026 R1. We've got the AI Assistant, which is like that chat way to create stuff. I love it. I love it as a building tool. Like and maybe this is a good segue. Are you still good for another 10, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Hanging out. I'd love to then talk about what we put in the title, which was the Claude code thing. But before we go there, I'm not seeing a ton of use cases at the moment myself for AI living in the workflow. I love AI helping me to build the workflow faster. I'm not seeing like a ton of need to have this super smart AI in my super dumb back office ERP process. A lot of it. I like it for processing images. I'd use that in a workflow, but I'm not like seeing a ton of need to have this super smart AI do something that's basically a binary decision tree.
ERP user.
I just mean in any back office company process.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like for the people actually use, like, because I mean, I think that like consultants, technical people, like we find use cases for it, but like for like actually a normal
to build new stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you mean a user of the system who lives in the day-to-day workflow?
What are they gonna do with it?
I'm just not clear on that yet. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm still not even clear on. I get what Acumatica's AI Studio is, I'm still not certain why I want to use it for
Yes,
anything.
I'm in exactly the same spot. Like
Not
I'd rather
I
what's that?
just not knocking it, just I don't know what.
I just don't see it yet. Yeah, I'm not knocking it either. I'm still missing it. And
Yeah.
it's like I want to use AI to build the import scenario faster or the business event or the workflow engine. But why do I really need AI as part of that process other than image processing? I see that one now. But yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
seeing a ton of use cases. Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
I will say, because I spent quite a bit of time last year and the year before in Business Central, and being inside of a Microsoft product where they very much pushed Copilot out into everything everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So Microsoft's had Copilot in their ERPs for like the last year of kind of the stuff that Acumatica says that you can do with AI Studio.
Isn't that
Like
more the AI assistant, not the AI studio? Or am I wrong?
maybe,
Okay.
right? But I think AI Studio kind of also helps you do some of those things maybe that the AI assistant isn't pre-programmed to do. I don't know. But I'm
Okay.
just saying, like, Microsoft kind of, I'm not also by no means saying, oh, Microsoft's been doing this for the last year, because Copilot is not great.
It's
Like,
been kind of a train wreck, I think.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, and like it's not great. So they kind of pushed it out into the ERPs, and you could do nice stuff like you can do in like Shopify and some of the web platforms too, about like generating long product descriptions for your web pages when you can't think of what
Yeah,
right?
I've
Like
seen that use case.
stuff
I'm
like
not thrilled about it personally, but
that.
yeah, yeah.
Like anomaly detection or better bank reconciliation, right? It can really help with things like bank reconciliation. But like outside of that, like for the typical user, especially when most times Karen in accounting still has her normal process that she wants to use for reconciliation anyways, like giving her an empty cursor window with a chatbot doesn't help her.
I feel the same way. Yes, that empty window is just not. Yeah, I feel the same way about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so still from a user perspective too, and I mean, I've had some Acumatica clients to call me or email me and be like, "I asked ChatGPT this before I called you, and they didn't help." So, and I'm thinking to myself, like, "What did you ask?"
Because I'm now going to type it into my chat GPT and get the answer.
Well, no, I'm like, I don't even think you knew the right thing to ask. Like, you shouldn't be asking AI any questions about anything.
Well, I think that's where I go back to the whole functional ERP consultant role that we've both been in for so long. That's where I don't see that going away anytime soon,
Right.
because of that human to machine interface, that role that we've always played. I can see the coders are going away right now, but yeah, the real
No,
world to
I
digital world
I look
interface.
at it this
Yeah.
way though too. I mean, in our industry especially, how many times are there consultants who don't feel super technical and are put into situations where they're like, "Oh god, I got to fix this SQL thing that somebody else did," or whatever else. Like, there's so many times where consultants are like reaching out to someone else for a more programmatic thing, or and then that programmer's like, "Ugh, god, I gotta help with this silly thing that the consultant can't do for themselves." Like AI can be that
Yeah.
gap of like,
And I feel like the functional consultants are in a good spot right now, right?
yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So I spent, the last couple of months like being so head first into AI development and doing little bits of things with Acumatica, more so from a standpoint, like I showed you before, of just doing like integrations, pulling data, maybe pushing some basic data back, but nothing really super heavy into Acumatica customized for AI, and I started thinking, especially after we went to Acumatica Summit and just having different conversations around AI and like how can I capture like Acumatica stuff into like an agent that's specialized in just helping me with Acumatica issues of like understanding the DACs, or like, what's the best way to pull this information? Do I need a SQL view for this? What's wrong with this query? You know?
Can you pull up your GitHub? I think you had some great bullet points on there. I actually put it in this episode description. Your oh yeah, that you have it right there. I think you had it near the top. Oh, maybe I'm not remembering. Yeah, right there. Yeah, deep context on Acumatica's data access layer, authoritative SQL view patterns for GI-backed reporting, version-specific field mappings across different versions, known gotchas from real client deployments. I love that one. And customization project deployment best practices for SaaS-hosted tenants. Yeah, keep going. Sorry, I thought that was a good summary, but yeah.
No, perfect. So, and what I'll tell you what I did to kind of like build it too. I took my well, first I kind of just said, let me kind of come up with a list of what the primary DACs are, like the main object DACs. And I put projects and like construction to the side for right now too. I was just kind of focusing on like core modules of like GL, inventory, APAR, SOPO, all the good ones. And so I took that list, and then I took my Acumatica installs and pointed my Claude to my Acumatica installs code repository folders, right? And said, create a batch file script, take that code information from the primary DACs and learn
basically
them.
The ASP pages at least at this point, that stuff. Okay.
Yeah, they're .cs pages. The actual code files in code repository of like PX objects, AR customer.
Okay.
Right. So just those actual C# files, zipped them up. Not all of them, because it's just unnecessary for the most part, to do all of them. But I took the major ones, put it into a zip, upload the zip to Claude, and say like, analyze this and explain all of the like gotchas, weird stuff, whatever. Like, just learn these things and let's start documenting, the schemas and having a better understanding of the Acumatica schemas. So I did that for 25R1, 25R2, and it, started building like the skill MD file and the DAC table map. And then as I was doing different projects too, it would be like, oh, we learned this, like, but I will say though, there's the reverse. I'm not going to just say the good things. I'm going to say the weird stuff that it does too, right? Like, I was working on something where there was like, I was having a problem with an import scenario. And like, when I was importing into a particular field, it was like causing problems with the import scenario. And I completely think it was like a fluke weird thing or something specific that the customer had going on with some other customization or something. Like, I don't think it was an Acumatica thing, but the AI noted it. And I was like, it said like, don't ever import into last cost, because we learned that if we did this, like this, and I was like, no, like, let's take that out. That was a weird thing. Like, don't leave everything we've ever learned in there. Like, that was a weird client thing, so
that goes back to the memory thing from earlier.
Yeah, and it is good to kind of like keep an eye on some of those things when it is going, so when it goes through and it documents different things, I try to pull some of that out if I can. And, as I troubleshoot other stuff, it adds to it, but it's not always perfect,
Interesting.
So, but like we were talking about the other day too, I mean, it's all mostly just detailed markdown documents.
Are you able to get a quick word count on that? I'm curious what your word count is on that skill file. I have to copy and paste into Word or something, huh? I'm curious on it because I'm trying to learn all about this context window, like practically how much data should you really feed into AI before it starts.
Well, and this is and I don't know if that, because it keeps adding to it.
Yeah, well, that's your case where it keeps like adding to its own memory, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, in this case, it's just the skill MD file. So like with this, I may make changes and then say, yeah, go ahead and update the file, and it'll go out and update the
Oh,
file.
you're actually having it update its own skill.
Yeah, now
Okay.
I am, and with the skill with this I am, because I wanted to make it as a GitHub project that I could share, because
Okay.
otherwise it's just in my thing. I wanted to version control it and make it public.
Got
So
it. Got
I'm
it.
doing a
Okay.
publishing process with this where this isn't necessarily being spit back. But
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's just kind of and like I said, I don't necessarily know if everything that is in here is always correct or anything else, right? But all this stuff is just like new for all of us, I think. And this is like, I mean, but it built all this itself, Add mappings as you encounter new table work,
You mentioned you're using both Claude and ChatGPT. So in my infant stage that I'm at, I picked up from Nate to use ChatGPT to help build the prompt for Claude and then have Claude do the actual coding. For me, it's been writing Python. Have you been using them the same way, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I would say especially too, for bigger work where I know I am going to need a detailed prompt, I will ask. I have a cat on the
I
shelf, so
love it.
I'm like, you're gonna see the feet in a minute. For more, if I need a detailed prompt, or especially if it's a prompt where I'm not sure if I'm asking for, like, if I need to do some level of figuring out what it is
Mhm,
I'm planning, and like,
mhm,
let's really kind of like spec this out or talk through something, or even business decisions, process decisions. I feel like Chat GPT has a little bit more of like the human element.
mhm. So you
And
are doing that similar process. Okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
but I
Interesting.
do feel like Claude is getting better in that area, but
Yep.
still
Yep.
not quite as especially like image stuff and everything.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. I've,
but
so you have been
graph
using it.
charts, I mean, Claude's getting really great with like charts and graphs.
But no, I'm with you. That I think that's why I'm doing the same thing now. That seems to be where it's currently at, where
Mhm.
ChatGPT is more like the free flowing, creative, artistic type, and Claude's more of the engineer, with the pocket protector and that kind of stuff in general. But they're changing
Yeah.
so fast; it's hard to say, right? Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I would say too, like, and I've gotten a little nervous sometimes when I've posted some things about like, oh, I do this in with, for troubleshooting Acumatica stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Claude has been more accurate with even before I was doing my like DAC training stuff and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Claude was just like more accurate with field names, just the logic of
That fits
anything.
with the whole thing we're talking about. Yeah, that totally fits. That makes sense. Yep. Yep.
And like, when I would run out of Claude tokens and be forced to do coding stuff in ChatGPT, it's like it would just a lot of times take a lot more back and forth, or a lot more of me being like, okay, it gave me the structure, but like not the right stuff. I felt like I was doing more coding when I was using
That makes sense. That makes total sense. Yeah.
because I
That
was being
that's
forced to
good.
like fix its mistakes and stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it was like getting me in there, but like Claude, just mind blowing to me.
Yep. I'm with you. It does seem to be more practical in terms
Mhm.
of, yeah, and more accurate, like you said. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I'm
Yeah, so
also
I get worried,
interested.
like, when I give people advice about like, "Oh, try this in your AI," and I'm like, "Oh, but if it's ChatGPT, it might not work." No.
Well, it depends on what it is, right? I mean,
Yeah,
but in the computer world, the ERP world, yeah, Claude seems to be more often the tool that you reach for these kind of tasks. I'm
for
also
sure.
curious though, in your like 40-day head down, like building the commission app, how much of it were you typing and how much of it were you dictating?
Always typing. I don't.
You're still more of a typer. Okay. I'm curious.
Yeah, I know. I see those people like say things of like, oh, I just use like voice mode and like tell it to do things well, and then it builds me stuff. I'm like, I need to like I need like bullet point. I need to like structure my thoughts into like a Word doc or something first to like plan it out.
Yep. Yeah, so I've been using this this thing called Whisper. I'll put that up on the screen.
Yeah, Whisper's cool.
I've really been liking it, but what I've realized is that it's really not about the tech. It really is more about your own brain. And I think for me, like if I go back to the first podcast episode that I did on this podcast, like I could barely get more than a couple sentences out before my brain just frantically trying to figure out what am I going to say next. And it's actually this podcast motion, I think, is the reason why I've been able to use Whisper. Like it's taken me a couple years to get there because I still think better. If I'm really going to sit down and do something, I'll do the outline thing as well and think while typing. But I've gotten a lot more comfortable, like actually being able to have clear thoughts with the AI that are voice dictated. And I think a lot of it has to do with the podcast thing, but I think it's sort of that like introvert, like versus extrovert way of interacting with the world. But when you're dealing with technical stuff, it's not, I think it's even more than that, because you could be a total extrovert and you're just going to say a bunch of wasted stuff into the AI, right? Unless you really think it through. So yeah, it's interesting. But I feel like it's a brain bottleneck and not a tech bottleneck in terms of whether you're voice dictating or whether you're typing. That's
totally. It's funny too that you said that, because I was thinking about that this morning, because I was like, I should really record more videos on different things and be posting more video and post videos and stuff. But I have a hard time. And I was thinking about you, and I was like, man, I don't know how like Tim just like does this stuff all the time. Like I have a hard time talking and not talking to a person. So like I feel like I would have a hard time like just talking to a computer or something, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I still struggle with it.
The podcasting
I don't have it down at all. It's definitely a struggle.
It's so hard.
For sure.
I think
but
worry too that like my
interesting is I just thought it was not something I could even learn. Like I remember this is like 10 years ago when I was doing mostly blog posts. Like I'd be on a once a week. I was driving up to Cleveland, which is like a 2-hour drive. And I would try to get blog post stuff done with voice recognition on my phone, which wasn't as good 10 years ago. But the main bottleneck I was running into was how to think and talk and back and forth. And so I guess what I'm saying is I definitely don't have it down, but it's better than it was 10 years ago. And it's been interesting, been really interesting. But that you can definitely produce a lot faster if you're talking. But it's a question of, are you saying stuff that matters, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with the AI, right? You don't want to just, it's got to be meaningful. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because I feel like my brain's so all over the place sometimes too. Like if I were just like mouth to AI, I don't, it just feels like we could
It'd be like, what do you want me to do? But fascinating. Super fascinating.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just been really fun trying to see all that we can do and just sharing stories too of like, you know, what worked for you, what didn't, you know, like what have you done, you know? I think whether AI is working for us or it's not, it's at least getting people to be more imaginative too. Like it kind of almost like for me, it reminds me not so much of like the internet boom. It more so reminds me of like back when like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates must have been in a garage or something. You know what I mean? Of just like kind of anything could be made right now. You know, like it's not just like, oh, like to me, the internet opened up like oh, it connected everybody. So it made everything smaller. But like now, like with AI, just to me, it's like there's so many possibilities of what people can make and build, and kind of like
You
what.
kind of come back to your collaborative comment earlier, and that you feel like AI is making things more collaborative. Maybe part of it is that the possibilities are so endless. We have to collaborate because it'll fry our
Yes.
brains on our own. Is it sort of like that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think too, because like we're all just in this boat of like, this is different. Like
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
this is different than
Mm-hmm.
like just being plugged in and saying, hearing you've got mail, like that
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel great back in the day to, hear the little noise and get that notification and when all that happened. But this feels like, oh, there's different possible, like even more possibilities of like business, opportunity, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a chaotic, murky time that we're not seeing it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Like it's
Yep.
not really quite there, but I think over the next year for sure. Like
Yeah.
even
And I think that's why community oriented people like the two of us, like it's not scary to lean into community. We've been doing that. And it's like we just lean into a little more than we were, maybe, right? And
and I
yeah, it's
think
not
it
a
takes
scary
a little bit
motion.
of like humility too, to just be
Yeah.
like I think you and I are both like not afraid to be like, I don't know.
I think
Like
that's a great word for what community takes. It takes humility. That
yeah,
I think
because you can't be
that's
too
it.
proud to just be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, this is the thing." Like, and I think nowadays people get worried about like, "Oh, but I'm supposed to be an expert. I can't say I don't understand something if I'm the expert." It's like, no, you kind of sound like more of a fool if you are just lying. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just be honest. Say, "I don't know. We'll figure it out."
I like the Navy SEAL phrase for that: fail forward fast.
Oh,
Basically, we know we're going to fail. We're just going to fail faster and learn from it faster than others because we're not afraid of bumping into stuff and breaking stuff. Yeah. And then you learn from it and you keep iterating and going. Yeah. So
yeah.
what do you have here? What's this MD file? So you went from skill. I wasn't paying
Okay.
attention. I missed the jump from the
Yeah.
skill.md to this. What happened there?
Yeah. So, and let me go into my Claude here, like just in a regular Claude web desktop interface
Okay.
too, because, and for people who don't know, whether you're using Claude code in an IDE or Claude in the web interface or Claude in the desktop version, all of those things do connect to each other. They might utilize different like skills and connectors differently, but they all it's all the same account, right? So this is actually, if you go into your Claude, you would be able to see like different
Yeah, I'm gonna
skills.
pull mine
You
up. Let
could
me see.
see different skills. There should be examples of skills in there too. And there's a lot of websites that you can go to for downloading open source skills and training them on specific instructions. So the ones down in the examples are ones that are from Claude themselves. And then like this share skill is one that I downloaded off the internet and installed into my skills. And then this one is the one that I created. If you want to create your own skill manually in here, you can click on the plus sign and then you could say create with Claude and explain to it the type of skill that you want it to create, and it will create all these files for you. Or you can manually just create skill instructions with like a name, a description, like paste your markdown document stuff in here, right? It kind of does all the same stuff. Mine, because there was so much, couldn't get it all into one MD file with all the DAC references and everything. I had to create a folder structure with references for the DAC map.
You can get
So
it in there. Is there a character limit?
I think there is a character limit,
Oh, okay.
specifically through the UI, but if you're doing it like from a package build or something, they don't care. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of this stuff too, like I think some of the parts of the skills I don't think have even been out that long. like a lot of
You
these
mean
things.
Claude's capability, Claude's thing that it calls
Like
skills.
just
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of these things are like Claude is coming out with new features like
Yeah.
every week, and it's
Yeah.
like I'm having a hard time like keeping up on stuff.
And
I
Claude's
saw
a great example of, to me, the whole AI native ERP. I don't see that yet, but I do see an AI native software development company and what that is. And Claude is a great example of it, because they're using Claude to build Claude, and they're basically allowing it to modify its own code. And that type of design, that's the Nate Jones dark factory concept that I learned from him. I'm fascinated with that. And that's why I asked you if you were still reading the code, because I'm fascinated with the idea of getting away from even looking at the code and just getting into a world where the AI builds it and you just test it to see if it does what you want it to do. But I lost my train of thought. So the AI, that's a good example of the native AI, because and the speed, like you're saying, it's coming out with new stuff all the time, and that's because AI is building itself. It's creepy to think about.
It's wild, right? So it's
this skills area might be somewhat new. And so basically, how do you get it to call the Acumatica ERP skill? Like, I know you also put out there the chat GPT thing, but how do you know it's going to use the skill?
So like if see right here, it says you can type / to like explicitly tell it to use a particular skill. So now that I have my Acumatica ERP skill, if I hit /, I'll see my Acumatica ERP skill here.
Okay.
But it should also, because it's AI, if I were to say, I am building a GI for Acumatica, and what am I going to say? And need to.
Well, this would be a fun example. Like, give it some field names and stuff that we want. Like
valuation report.
Yeah. Okay.
I pull this directly from tables, or will I need a SQL view? Now, I don't know if we'll see. It said no.
And so I think this does have to do with tokens. So my understanding is at the moment it's limited to about 1 million tokens.
Less tokens because it's just using my reference instead of going out to the World Wide Web and looking for things. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Or that for sure. What I was thinking of is that it doesn't read all of your skills. It decides which one to go in and read, because when it goes and reads one, it burns tokens to do that, right?
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting, like, what it's able to either give for you, or I've found it's most helpful in trying to debug issues. Like, why am I
bullet point you had in there, like real world stuff that you've been through, you've built that back into the skill file.
Like, why the heck am I getting duplicate rows? Like, they look the same. What am I missing here? Like the kind of stuff that a lot of times, we're capable. It's not that we're not capable of figuring those things out, but how many different ways do we have to look at it to find the answer for 8 hours? You know what I mean? Like, it just helps get us there a lot faster, and a lot of, or if you're not in something all the time and you're like, oh yeah, like it remembers those things faster for you, So
right. Yeah. You knew it, but you have to ramp your knowledge back up on it because you only do it once a quarter or something. I've totally been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then that schema file that you had that was in the folder somewhere, was that something that you built using the skill? Like what was that one where we saw the inventory item table? I think it was.
That's the source files for the skill that was built using AI reading Acumatica's code. Claude built the skill files for me by going through and analyzing all of Acumatica's DACs, and it built those files for me.
So is that where you were saying the structure of the skill is more than just that one skill.md file? It's
Yes.
this whole folder of stuff. Oh, okay.
Yes. Now
Oh,
now,
that didn't dawn on me.
could the skill have just been a single file? Yes, but
Right.
I
No,
had so much it just morphed. The more DACs I added, the more information it
huh.
evolved into more of a project structure.
So I've been
Um,
trying to understand this myself more in that, again, going back to the tokens and the context window can only
mm,
have like a million tokens in its brain up to that at a time. What I've wondered is this what people talk about when they talk about a vector database? Because the way I'm thinking about it currently is it like a choose your own adventure book where I don't want it to read the whole book because that's too expensive token wise. I want it to like start at the skill.md and then decide how many folders it needs to go into, but it's not going to traverse the entire thing. Are you
right,
anywhere on that?
and I don't well, and that's what I kinda think that I'm doing, right? Because I think that if
That's what it seems like to me. Yeah.
yeah, because I think that if I because just like anybody could go into ChatGPT or Claude and ask it questions about Acumatica, and it's gonna go, I don't know. I gotta look a whole bunch of
Mhm.
different places all out on
Searching
the
the
World
web
Wide
is
Web to
what it comes
find
back
all
with,
these.
right? Yeah.
Right. So that's why I do think that this is sort of saying like, look here first for guidance, and we'll see if we can get what we need. But like I said, when I had been sort of testing out some of that before, it was like balking at me about a last cost thing that I was like, we've been over this a couple of times. Like,
I
so,
see.
like your skill could be jacked too and be overriding what's out there. But if you're saying,
Interesting.
no, these are our standards and this is what I want us to go by and this is our memory. Yeah, it is like a look here first.
So when you were saying the last cost thing, I thought you were saying it was supposed to look at your previous chats. You were saying it should have figured it out from the skills.
No, but in that instance, even in that instance, it had, like I said before, it had made a weird note about the last cost too. Like it noted things about last cost, but then like
In the
forgot
skill,
about like,
in
and
the
I'm like,
skill itself.
mm-hmm, yeah,
I had missed that. Okay.
yeah, it noted some things in the skill, and
Interesting.
then like it pulled, and I was like, we didn't really need that special note about that there for last cost. So like I had to remove that out because it was superseding what it was doing. And I was like, and I'm like, I thought we talked about like it was just weird. Like I felt like I kept tweaking back and forth, but it was honestly, it seems like because it's having it's like it knows, but what trips it up is the same thing that kind of trips all of us up, I think, sometimes is when you have those differences between like the table and the DAC projection. So like it gets a little bit confused sometimes switching back and forth with like, yeah, you can get like last cost from IN site status or something when you're in the DAC in a generic inquiry, but you can't get it there in a SQL view. You have to go a different way, right? Because sometimes the DAC
Interesting.
projections are a little bit different than the SQL tables are. But
Right.
that's also why I'm trying to capture all of that in here, but it might not capture its note properly. So you still might have to go back through. Like I still believe to some degree that like it is like a mirror of us and it's a smarter brain, but it's garbage in, garbage out, just like any other computer systems have always been with data, right? So like if the AI is just reading like stuff that's not right and you're building a skill or a memory, just like a human, it's going to keep making that mistake because that mistake got stuck in its memory, you know?
Fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah.
So how many files are in there currently? Like what is your that yeah, go back.
Um,
So you
it
probably showed half this. I'm just like slowly
no,
catching up
no,
to
it's okay.
it's
It's
now
like,
dawning on me.
um, I mean, for for the Acumatica ERP thing, it's mainly just, I have this is just the main README, and then it's really
But the MD file. So there was skill.md, that one.
This is the top level. This is the top
Okay.
level skill file. And then the only thing that I've put down in the references is this DAC table map that it created with a lot of those different, a lot of that information that it wanted to keep regarding things it should remember for these DACs.
So is
right?
this the file that should have had that last cost note in it?
Yeah, it probably did too.
Ah, okay.
And then there's not, and then I do also have, I stored some just like documents in here about like the versions in particular, right? So there's some more information about the individual versions in some of these too. And
There's
like
last cost right there.
it was really interesting though too, because like when I went through and I had it like come up with things about 25R1 and then 25R2, and then I loaded 26R1, and it was like, oh, it was like 26R1 really is no different than 25R2 at all. Like it was just like they really didn't make much changes, and I was like, that's so interesting. Like,
That is interesting.
so interesting. Where I was like, wow, they really didn't make any changes. It was pretty much like you probably didn't even really have to add those 26R. And I'm like, well, yeah, that kind of, maybe it hasn't changed that much yet. Maybe if I load those, I mean, we'll see what it says when I load 26R2 at some point, you know?
Interesting.
Fascinating to see it like read those things and come up with these different like comparisons of the DACs is, yeah, confirmed unchanged versus 25R2. Oh, here's new fields in 26R1.
And I want to highlight this. So, these are markdown files, although that's a read.me. Is that markdown or no? It looks like markdown to me.
It is markdown, but somebody put the wrong extension on here.
All right, that's okay. I was just making sure I wasn't missing it. So that when you see .md, for if anyone's listening 2 hours in, or who knows, but I'm just getting it on record that the .md is what a markdown file means. Oh no, go back to the code part of it, because that's a part that stood out to me. Yeah, so here, so like the hash is like a subheading, the hash is the main heading, and then the table, that I didn't remember how you write the table in markdown. It's a bunch of pipes and dashes and stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. But it's nothing fancy, I guess is the point. This is not crazy computer code. It's just a way to put formatting in a text document.
Yeah. And I don't really know. I mean, I do when I look at it, or if I'm just doing quick things, but like I just use a markdown editor that just looks like regular text editor, and I just save it as a file. I don't do
highlight and press bold or whatever, and it would do the star.
Just like it does all that stuff on the back end.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah,
so
I mean,
I'll put a link to this. So this is your GitHub repository for your Acumatica skill. And then you also had a GPT version of it. What was that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been doing most of my stuff in Claude, like I mentioned, but then sometimes I feel like, well, that's not nice for the people who don't use Claude and only use ChatGPT. So I was like, let me try to make it into a custom chat. So I pretty much just took those same source files and created a custom GPT. So it's using all the same sources, but it's just in ChatGPT as opposed to Claude.
And so, so that I was wondering that earlier, like basically is the ChatGPT version of a skill called a GPT. Are they pretty equivalent, or what's the differences?
Yes. And I don't know for sure if this is like the equivalent, or they're like kind of like apples and bananas or something. Like they're kind of the same. Like GPTs you can share with other people who use ChatGPT, but like the skills are a little bit different in Claude, like how you install them. It's definitely more like the nerdier thing of like you either got to upload a zip file or manually paste in the markdown, or if you're using Claude Code, you can install it from the IDE with a command prompt. ChatGPT is definitely a little bit more, I would say, consumer friendly and like user friendly, of like, I created this with all the same source files and anybody could go out and use it. Like there's no special things to install or whatever to do, you know? So I think they're more shareable, or like easier to just share a GPT, you know?
Yeah, like
Whereas
you hit that
like
explore
Claude,
GPTs and it feels more like you're browsing an app store rather than having
correct.
to compile code or anything. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely like a marketplace.
Okay.
You know? So I
But
just
the
use
end result, I think, is the same in that you're talking to a large language model, which is super smart. It knows about so many things, but you want to give it some what they call context for the conversation. So it's not just having to go out and browse the web. It's got some stuff in its memory. But when you do that, that's when you burn tokens. And so it's a trade-off.
And here's like, so, and if you've never made a custom GPT, or have never seen this, it's pretty easy, right? So, I'm just in the edit mode of this. So obviously things are already filled out, but you just give it things like name, description, a basic set of instructions, and these could be markdown or just whatever, right? And then you can also give it different conversation starters, like suggested questions, and those appear right here for the people who
Okay.
are like, what would I even use this for? It just gives you some different ideas of what those questions are. And then you supply it with the different knowledge. And it's really funny. This is so funny to me, because the other day when I was making this, I was getting really frustrated because I didn't understand why, when I loaded these files, why this one wouldn't go up here with the rest of them.
I
And
was
it's
wondering the same thing. Is it the .me?
I never noticed it until you said the me on the call, and I was like, oh my God, I'm such like, that was my problem the other day and I never noticed.
I think it's interesting though that it's flat. Like there's no folder structure like you have in Claude.
Well, yeah, it all kind of just goes, yeah, exactly.
Ah,
It all just goes in there. And this doesn't,
interesting.
they you can assign a
Okay.
particular model to it if you
Okay.
wanted to, or you could let them use whatever. And then these are the capabilities that it has.
Okay.
Doesn't really need image generation for anything, but whatever. I just turned everything on. And then they also have the ability to do action, like for it to trigger actions or trigger things, but I've never done that and I don't know.
Here's the example where I'm wondering if when you embed the LLM into the workflow, I just wonder if a bunch of people are going to be doing the equivalent of if this then that or Power Automate or one of those kind of tools, but do it in here and they're just burning a ton of tokens that they don't need to. I don't know. Be interesting. Like for something that's super logical and computer program oriented, and you don't really need a smart LLM to do. That'd be interesting. But I can see how you'd build like a Power Automate structure in here where it's triggering actions and doing things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But then it's like they have all those other things like dispatch and all that other stuff that can create actions too, right? So it's like, I don't know what you do one versus the other.
I'm not sure yet either. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if you've ever played around, but they do have a Claude Excel plugin.
So that is fairly new, right? Actually, the one I think that's specifically new is Microsoft Copilot now has their own co-work, which is a collaboration with Claude. It's getting really confusing. Have you seen that? That's even newer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they are starting to do that because Copilot's struggling so much.
I think so too. Yeah. Muddied waters. That's definitely what's going on right now.
No, I'm not going to try to log into it. But I would say too, like the Claude plugin in Excel is pretty amazing. But I did try to tell it because I was curious, like with all of the different capabilities that AI can do. I was curious if I went into Excel, opened up Claude, and then said, could you create a connection to the following Acumatica URL? Because I was trying to see if it would be smart enough to like understand how to create the data source connection, or if that would be like outside of its purview of like
the OData thing, or what do you mean?
Yeah,
OData,
I
okay.
was just like asking the Claude, like, oh,
Okay.
can you connect to this Acumatica URL for
What did it
OData?
do?
It was like, you can most certainly do that. You need to go here. You need to do this. Like,
Oh, it
I
didn't
just,
do it for you. Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
it was like,
Hmm.
I can't set up specific data sources for you. Like, that's something that you're going to have to navigate to.
I wonder if it
And
has to do with
it
you
gave
being
me
on a
the
Mac,
steps
because I know
of how to do it.
you think it has to do with the Mac version of Excel?
I think it has to probably do with just their limitations on what their plugin can access so far. Because I
Interesting.
think it crosses the realm of like, maybe that's not fully in, because that plugin works on the web version of, I don't have to be a local too, right? So it's not necessarily Mac dependent either.
Okay, I have heard that it's using the APIs, not necessarily driving your desktop, but I'm not 100% on that. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not sure either, but it's like, it's always just kind of interesting to me. I guess it's the side of me that's likes to see how far it can push things or something. I was just like,
Sure.
I always just ask it like the hard, like, could you actually just do this? Like, just to see if it will.
I've had some fun, let's see, not this week, but last week, using Playwright. Have you heard of Playwright?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So
Haven't done anything with it yet though.
So I haven't wanted to let it. So there's two modes you can basically, it's a browser, but it's a browser that Python knows how to control. And so what you have is you have your Claude build you a Python script, and then you just have to make sure the Playwright library is installed for Python, and it walks you through how to do that. But then there's two modes. You can run it in headless or headed, I think. Headed means you actually watch it do what it's doing. Headless means it just does it behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
I've kept it in headed mode, but it's really interesting to watch it open up a browser, click on stuff, do what it needs to do, which is super interesting for trying to automate things on LinkedIn, even though legally you're not supposed to. It's really good at it. I'm really surprised. So even when my point is when you don't have an API, you can still use that technique to do some pretty cool stuff. I'm not going to say the specific things I've been doing, but I'm amazed at its ability to do it and do it reliably. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing around a little bit with like the Claude plugin in.
Yeah, I haven't done this much. Is it good? Is it reliable?
I don't know if I'm just like not asking for the right stuff.
So are you
Or
like, yeah, how do you prompt it? Are you
not,
telling it go to this site and click on this button, or how are you telling it what to do?
yeah, or I'm just like not, no, like when I was going through the work trying to collect all those DACs, the DACs to build the skill, I was trying to think of ways of like, how can I gather the DAC information quickly and easily? And because I thought, well, maybe I could just point the AI to like help.acumatica.com and go to the DAC source on help.acumatica.com and navigate through. Oh, this is the wrong one, right? See, but this is the Claude had the same problems with help.acumatica.com that I do. Let's go back here. Like, if you notice, especially maybe it's just because of how maybe it being a wiki or how Acumatica has it or whatever, but because we're not like really working in a full like tree structure, and like we're not getting different pages per click here, but when it was navigating this, I felt like Claude was having a hard time trying to like copy and paste these things.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't the best use case to say, try to go find all the DACs that I need in this tree and copy and paste them for me.
Interesting.
It
Yeah,
had
I sort of ran into a similar struggle with playwright. And so in this situation, when it's a situation of needing to collect a bunch of data, the approach that's worked well for me so far is just find a way to have it go ripple through and download all the HTML files. And then you do a separate Python script to actually try to harvest the data. So first step is like just capture the raw stuff. And that's kind of, it seems like what you landed on. That's why you had it just go 100%. To the CS
I
file.
ended up just saying like, you know what? I wrote a PowerShell script to just pull those files and zip them up. And then I took the 3 zips, the 25R1 zip, the 25R2 zip, and the 26R1 zip, and uploaded those 3 zips to Claude and told it to just read the zips because it can read.
Very interesting. Same technique. So different tools, but we've landed on the same technique. These are the kind of notes I love comparing with people about. That's really cool.
Yeah, for sure too. Because the web browser stuff, I mean, it looks great, but I don't know if it's like I haven't found the right use case of using it and I just have picked the wrong ones, but it's also maybe it's just not quite there yet either because it's new, the web browser features, you know, like, I don't know. But
hard to know. Fascinating.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, I feel like we could
everything I've been working on.
We could go another couple hours. I feel like let's do another one at some point. I feel like we should also mention we've been chatting and what caused us to say, hey, let's jump on and do this. I'm going to drop this link on the screen here. We've got a little Discord server.
I love that. And I really hope that more people join the Discord. I mean, I'm not in there all the time, but I love being able to go in and read the comments and stuff. It does feel like real nerdy conversation that I just very much enjoy being able to have people to chat with. That's really, I'm excited that you.
If anyone wants to join our little Discord server here, I'll give a quick tour of it here. Let me get my screen up. So it's up there on the screen, but
stop or anything.
I'll just take it off the stage.
Okay,
let me get mine queued up here. So all right, you seeing that okay?
I see a black screen.
Well, that's not. Oh, I didn't add it on yet. Okay. How about now? All right.
Yep.
So if anyone doesn't know what Discord is, it's basically like I describe it as a hobby version of Slack or Teams. And so, we've been chatting in this little AI channel. And then we did a channel for EOS and also the modern UI. So I'm sort of envisioning this as like Acumatica adjacent topics, although modern UI, obviously Acumatica, but how do you know to go here versus community.acumatica.com or AcuConnect? I'm sort of viewing this as like EOS or AI in general are kind of like Acumatica adjacent topics. And we got everything else for just whatever. And we've got, how many people in here so far? We got 36 people in there so far, but new thing and just another way to chat with people in the Acumatica space. So feel free to check that out.
Yeah, come on and say hi.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, anything else we should chat about before we wrap it up?
We talked about a lot.
Thanks for hanging out for so long. I feel like it's the time flew by. I mean, this stuff is fascinating, and it's so great to be able to collaborate about it and just hear what other people are doing. And it's going to change in 2 weeks, right? Like the stuff we know is changing so fast. So this is like the best format to me for being able to compare notes, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And just that, like you said to me when I watched well, I shouldn't say like, it's not like I sat there and watched you for 2 hours because it was a particularly long.
What are you talking about the thing I did last Saturday?
I watched it.
Oh, I forgot you actually looked at that. There's a great example of like, put this out into the world. And I don't think anyone's going to watch it, but I'm doing it anyway.
I pulled it up on Like I was working and stuff, and so I was like glancing over and like
background noise.
listening to everything.
That's
Yeah,
why I
but
feel like this episode is good. It's just sort of like a companion on the journey.
yeah, but it was funny. Like I watched that like on the Monday after, and I was like, man, I wish I was online when he was on. I would have been on at the same time. Like it's kind of weird watching this after the fact, like just catching up on 2 hours. But I felt like there was so much of it that just like I was just like nodding along so much because I was just like, yeah, like I felt like it just makes me feel better about some of the stuff I've been doing too. Because with these things, you just sort of like, okay, like it seems cool to me or whatever, but I don't know if other people are doing it. And just
Yeah.
having that sort of like discourse and it gets my brain going and it's like, oh, let me try doing this now so I just really appreciate that. So thanks for doing all those things.
I love to hear that. I think the whole live streaming idea for me has come from watching my daughter. So she'll watch these live streams, and I'm blanking on the political guy she likes to watch right now. I can't remember his name. But, huh?
Aaron Parnas. He's like the only political person I know.
No, whatever it is, like he'll do these like every day. He'll do like an 8-hour broadcast. And anyways, I've just been kind of learning from that motion that it is kind of cool to have something on the background. I mean, I've been doing the same thing with Nate's videos. For me, it's a little more focused. Like I'll go on a walk and listen intently, but there's also some things that are nice to have on the background. So especially for us remote workers, right? Just anything to make us feel a little bit less lonely and not just talking to our AI all day long.
Yeah, that's for sure. Especially because the AI is always like fairly nice and encouraging too. Right. Like sometimes you need like just a little bit more.
Well, thanks for the time. I'll catch you in the Discord and would love to do another one to see what I didn't realize that commission thing. That's substantial. Like tell me on the take to market thing. Like, where are you on that? You think it's something you take to market? Maybe even through Stellar One or what? What are you thinking on that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that if there's clients who are, I would want to start out with 2 or 3 like beta people who want to just get in, say like, yeah, we have challenges with commissions, but we're not really sure if we need there's a lot of full on, like really expensive things out there too, right? I mean, I'm not looking to make anything really crazy. But if people have different scenarios that they want to walk through and talk through and say, is this something that could be handled? Or, I've had certain conversations with people where it's like, it also comes down to like, well, that's not even a software or a plan problem. Like you guys got to make decisions, right? Like, so that's where some of it with the commissions, I've been like, that's the thing that I think people don't necessarily get because they think everything can just be automated. But I'm like, you're kind of coming up with plans that don't make sense. They can't really be calculated. They're heavy to maintain to try to validate those things only because you're being cheap and you don't want to pay your salespeople probably, which means you're also not going to want to pay for software.
Yep.
So now I do also think though, things like looking into doing payment portals or web portals too, right? Or B2B portals, all things that, are projects that I have never turned down even before we had AI, so it's like now that we have AI, we did projects that, in the past with, customizing Acumatica's customer portal where the people are asking for all kinds of crazy stuff and you can't really, you get run into a lot of roadblocks and everything. But then with some of these technologies, maybe that and Acumatica going to modern UI and enhancements being made to Acumatica's customer portal, when you think about like combining those two stuff, it's like, where can we take it? And that's
so
where
what I hear though is that at least at this point, and this would make total sense to me, it makes more sense as like a service offering. Like this would more be a project you would take on with someone rather than a full-blown SaaS product, at least for now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Just because I think that that's more so the smartest thing to do too. Like, as much as I have spent a lot of time understanding these databases, even doing things like some of the other things you were talking about too with, like cost concerns. And yeah, a lot of these things are free, but what does, X amount of volume or X amount of transactions look like a year from now or whatever from a maintenance standpoint, right? So like, even though I don't fully understand all the ins and outs to how those things work or what a token equates to or what a transaction feed here or that, right? Like I would utilize the AI to say like, okay, like during my development process to say, what are we looking at with a transaction volume of a typical business like this, and try to at least have it give me some forecasting options so that I
It's good at
understand
doing that. Yeah.
what those usage things look like, so, but that being said, predictions, everything else, nothing is as true as like real life experience, right? And until I at least get to people who are using it, I won't even, I don't think I would say, oh, I'm going to go to market with this.
Yep. Makes sense.
I just think it's a little like safe, better to be safe than sorry, when you're talking about transmitting data and, access to AI in a time when we don't even know what kinds of rules and jurisdictions and everything else could happen in the next year over too, right? So I go to market with it, and then all of a sudden there's these added things in insurance or something, it's like a little, like I think it's just as much as like, yeah, there's a ton of things that we can do. And I learned a lot about like Stripe integration and that side of it. And like took that knowledge that I got, like being exposed to payment integrations at Nuvei to just kind of, understand portals and how to transfer information. I feel a lot more confident with it than I used to, having that industry knowledge of working for a payments company, but it's still a risk, right? Like, and to take that on as an individual, that's,
I'm with you. Treat it as a consulting project for now. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
But
cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, thanks, Nicole. I'll see you on the Discord and catch you next time at some point.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again soon. Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thanks again for the time.
Bye. Talk to you soon.